Hey everyone, Will Brink here, brinkzone.com, Alpha Joe Coffee Booster. So today is a conversation really not for athletes or high-level athletes, not for people, that are like trying to go from 9% body fat to 8 or something like that. That is more specialized topics or what people may normally tune into my stuff for. This video is really trying to cover really common sense, pragmatic, no BS discussions on permanent weight loss, long-term permanent weight loss, which is statistically speaking almost non-existent, unfortunately. I've known some, of course, and some of you watch this may be one of those people that have lost a bunch of weight and kept it off, but statistically speaking, the medical scientific community considers it damn close to zero. And there's a reason for that, and we're going to discuss that. But what I'm going to try to do is what I think I generally have always done best, which is take seemingly complicated topics, big topics, and distill them down to the basic essential stuff. And in this particular topic will be permanent weight loss based on pragmatic, real-world realities that people have to face up to if that's what their goal is. And again, I know that there's an incredible amount of confusing, conflicting, overwhelming information out there on diets, weight loss, permanent weight loss, which leads a lot of people into paralysis by analysis. They just get overwhelmed and they stop trying. And so I'm going to try to cover this topic. Now, obviously, I'm sure you can already realize, this is a big topic. I'm really going to still only be able to cover it surfacely, but I, hopefully can give people directions to go, and maybe, of course, some additional readings via articles, books, links, all that below. So let's get started with that reality as to what does it take the average person who really needs to lose some weight, which unfortunately is, let's call it, at least half the American public, and I think we're being generous there. Again, depends on what definitions you're going by. Whether you're talking about modestly overweight, obese, whether you're talking morbid obesity, yada yada. But I think we're being pretty safe by saying 50% of the population really could stand to lose some weight. So now, I'm going to sort of pull things that I've done in seminars and stuff, the way that I tend to approach, again, a pragmatic, real-world way of helping people without all day long that they can research the stuff, without a science medical background in terms of how they can sort of cut through some of the noise. So, for example, how do you choose the right nutrition plan for you to follow long-term to lose the weight? Now, I said nutrition plan, for example, the word diet itself, I could say the word diet. Diet is a very loaded term. It's become a loaded term. When I say diet, what I tend to mean, and I think most nutritionists and nutritional science, when we say diet stuff, we just mean a nutritional plan, eating, not diet, quote unquote, as most people take it in to mean weight loss per se. I mean, you can be on a diet for weight loss, you can be on a diet for weight gain, whatever. So, it's just easier to say the word diet than nutritional plan. So, but I understand that when you use the word diet, it's a bit of a nutrition loaded term. So it's easier to say nutritional plan in terms of it being more of a neutral term that people can work from. So here's one of the things that I do, again, when people say, raise their hand and say, Will, what about this diet or that diet? I heard about this way of eating, that way of eating. Here's what I tell people. You don't really necessarily need an extensive science medical background to do this, okay? As a starting spot, right? If somebody's presenting a way of eating to you, it has to pass a basic test. And it's what I call the can I eat this way for the rest of my life test. Okay, I know it doesn't really roll off the tongue very well, but I got no other term. Point is, if somebody says this is the diet that you should eat, take a look at it. It worked for 8 zillion people, so on and so forth. Look at it and decide, can you eat that way for the rest of your life? Because the reality is that if you eat whatever that method is and you lose a bunch of weight, and then you go back to your way of eating because you can't eat this way for the rest of your life, you're going to gain all the weight back, right? I don't think this is a big surprise. I think anybody watching this who has been through this experience knows what I'm talking about, and we know statistically speaking that people that lose the weight are going to put it back on, right? The reality is that weight loss per se is easy. Keeping the weight off is the hard part, right? Again, I literally can feel people watching this nodding their head who have been through what I'm talking about. So look at this diet, this magic diet that somebody has promised you you're going to lose a bunch of weight on and so forth. I don't care if it's, fish oil, grapefruit, and cocaine diet. Sure, you'll lose a whole bunch of weight on that diet. I promise you, all the weight you want. Can you eat that way for the rest of your life? Look at this diet. Ask yourself the simple question. If the answer is no, it's not the diet for you. Any diet that you pick, any nutrition plan that you pick, will be your new way of approaching nutrition for the rest of your life. Okay? So that right there can help you eliminate 95% of the diets that you look at. Now, not all of them, because some of them, maybe you could eat that way forever. Let's say somebody says, you need to go vegan. And you would look at it and say, well, okay, there are people that eat that way for the rest of their life. You ask yourself, could I eat that way for the rest of your life? And, the answer may be yes or no. That doesn't eliminate all diets. But I will guarantee you, if you look at some diet that somebody gives you and really consider that you're not going to be able to eat this way forever. You might eat that way again till the weight is lost. Then you're going to have to more or less go back to whatever it is you were doing. Let's be honest, that's what you're going to do. The weight's all coming back. And that's why we know, statistically speaking, losing the weight is not actually the difficult part. Keeping the weight off is the difficult part. So look at that diet, the magic diet, the diet of macro manipulations of magic, and ask yourself, can you eat this way for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, pass on this, okay? If the answer is yes, then you have something at least to work with and consider. Because whatever that is, that's how it is. That's what you're going to be eating, more or less. With less of it, more of it, you will lose the weight. Then you would go on a maintenance level of calories, and you would tweak it and all that. You might have some minor changes to this new nutritional approach that you're taking for the rest of your life, but this is basically what you're eating for the rest of your life. Okay? So, 2. Now we've gotten past the test you can use to get past all manner of diets you may be considering. The key spot for you to lose that weight and keep the weight off is the one area that almost every diet book, and again, guru that I've looked at or known or checked out pretty much misses completely in terms of long-term permanent weight loss. Not temporary weight loss, not 6 months, not a year, but for the rest of your life weight loss, which is what we're talking about, what you are trying to achieve here, right? And that is between your ears, okay? If you do not approach what is between your ears, i.e. your mindset and your mind, you will fail. And I think some of the programs I've seen in the recent years have gotten a little better about that, but very few of of any of the major diet programs and all that have really done a great job. I think there's some individuals that I think actually have been doing a decent job. What I want to do here, and again, if people don't know that or don't understand that, then they're in for an important discussion. Some people may realize that and just don't want to deal with it. Getting inside your own head and looking at your motivations, your coping strategies, your self-esteem and so forth is scary. It's hard. It's the hardest journey you'll probably ever take. Starving yourself and walking on a treadmill can be a whole lot easier and a lot less threatening and a lot of stuff than getting into that messy part of your brain and the psychology of why people don't keep weight off. So what I'm going to do at this point is bring in an article that is an excerpt from a little program that I have called the Permanent no, The Big Picture of Permanent Weight Loss. It's on Amazon. It's 99 cents. That's the cheapest Amazon will allow me to make it. You don't have to get it. I'm just saying this is an excerpt, but it's going to help us discuss this very important topic, because I will tell you, no diet, no program, no guru who holds your hands and all that is going to guarantee permanent weight loss until you address this issue. So let me bring this guy in here. Hopefully. Okay, so this is an excerpt from that, like I say, from that little program that I put out called the Big Picture of Permanent Weight Loss, that discusses the all-important mental aspect of permanent weight loss and the psychological factors and the studies that were put out. Maybe, let's see, is this, maybe you can't see this that well. No, that's not good. Okay, I think that works. Okay, let me get a sip of my coffee. All right, very important section. Do not skip over this, and leave some comments below if you have taken this journey and learned what your triggers were, what you needed to address in your own life, psychologically speaking, to deal with the ups and downs of the weight loss journey that you're trying to take, which is, again, a permanent journey. This is not a race. There's no finish line. This is a journey that you need to take. So, basically what I called this little excerpt was, does your mind stop you from losing weight? And the reality is, the answer is yes. And we do have research on this. There's been studies that have looked at groups of people that lost weight and kept off the weight, and looked at and another group of people that lost weight and did not keep off the weight, and then examined them for what were the factors, what were the differences between these groups of people. And from a psychological perspective, and I don't think this is going to come as a real surprise to anybody, again, but I think knowing that it's been sort of looked at and quantified as a reality, the people that lost weight, this is women. This particular study was in women, but there's studies in men, and we'll talk about that briefly. But the women that lost the weight yet put it back on, which is the vast majority of people, remember, it's around 90% or something of people that will lose weight and put it back on. This is why, statistically speaking, the medical community at this point almost doesn't believe that dieting actually works. Diet and exercise don't actually work according to them. So that's another topic. So the women, that lost weight and regained it had a tendency to evaluate self-worth in terms of weight and shape. I don't think that comes as a big surprise. Again, if you're going to balance your self-esteem and your self-worth based on gaining weight, losing weight, your body shape, obviously you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. Had a lack of vigilance with regard to weight control, had a dichotomous black and white thinking style, had the tendency to use eating to regulate mood. The black and white thinking style one, I just want to touch on again, is really, really important. I had, when I had a training business in the 90s, way back in the day, mid-90s, I was actually the first, this may have been early 90s, I was the first trainer at World Gym in Massachusetts, in Dedham, Mass, for example. This is when even the idea of private trainers were, at least on the East Coast, were not that common. And I had a pretty popular business, and I worked with a lot of people, hundreds, maybe more. And of course, once I started writing for magazines and websites, I have had these discussions and real world experience with people in the thousands at this point. And the black and white thinking style is a killer. It's the thing, and it's right away you will know if someone you were working with trying to lose weight and stuff is going to make it or not by that black and white thinking, or that they get themselves caught up in black and white thinking in terms of a food group is bad or good, carbs bad, fat bad. There is no bad or good. There are foods and food groups and types of foods and things that you want to limit and avoid at certain points in your journey. For example, obviously highly processed carb sources, donuts and things. Okay, we all know these are not what you want when you're trying to lose weight. But when you get yourself into bad, good thinking, whether it's about the nutrition program you're following, whether it's an exercise program, whether it's about yourself, you're going to fail. Okay, it's not how it works. There is grades of gray, there is context, there is nuance all through this, and you have to learn to see it that way. Okay, I just remember very clearly I'd get clients that would come in again and say that they were quote unquote bad yesterday. I was bad. Will, I had a slice of pizza. Okay, you weren't bad. I would always make a joke or whatever and say, well, you probably, I said, I don't know why you're telling me because I'm not going to get fat off the slice of pizza, just for a joke to lighten it up. But I would say the first thing you need to get past is that black and white level of thinking because it's not doing you any good. You weren't bad. You're not bad. Pizza is not bad. Pizza, I love pizza, by the way, but pizza is not bad nor good. Pizza is something that, depending on where you're at in your nutritional journey, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, weight stable, how your labs are, yada, yada, yada. Pizza is a perfectly acceptable snack or occasional, thing to have, and so forth. So just that one of those really is just really important because if you're one of those people that gets yourself into that black and white thinking type, that's something you have to address. So the researchers of this study concluded the results suggest that psychological factors may provide some explanations as to why many people with obesity regain weight following successful weight loss. See, these people already lost the weight. So as I stated, that particular study was done on women, but there's also been some done on men. Additional studies on men and women find psychological characteristics such as having unrealistic weight goals, poor coping and problem-solving skills, and low self-efficacy often predicted failure with long-term weight loss. Again, I don't think that's going to come as a big surprise to people, but unrealistic weight loss goals are a common one again. People that say, I want to lose. They're not looking again at the long-term journey. They're taking a short-term attitude. They want to lose, whatever, 20, 30 pounds in a month or something like that. And honestly, there are sometimes, depending on how much weight people have to lose and some other factors, it's not even impossible. But the reality is, again, look at it long term. Look at it as not a linear process. That is, you're going to lose a fair amount of weight at one part of the journey. It's going to slow down. It's going to change. It's going to level off. There's going to make some changes. And again, it's not a linear process. So you can't, again, remember, go back up to that black and white thinking style of good, bad. I lost 10 pounds is good. I lost 7 is bad. You're going to derail yourself. You're going to self-sabotage your long-term goals here. On the other hand, psychological traits common to people who experience successful long-term weight loss included an internal motivation to lose weight, social support, better coping strategies, and the ability to handle life stress, self-efficacy, autonomy, assuming responsibility in life, that's a big one, especially these days, and overall more psychological strength and stability. I think, again, that will not come as a huge surprise to anybody, but it's really important to understand that these are things you can work on. These are things you can identify. You can identify these issues working with therapists, working with eating disorder specialists, working with other people on the same journey. You can find support. You can find ways of identifying these things if you're someone who needs more social support. Whether you need to work on your coping mechanisms, because again, a lot of people, of course, eat emotionally. They eat, and of course, as you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your bad days, and you're going to have your hard days where you're going to reach for food. I think we all do it to different extents, and then we all have different response to it. But everybody's got their thing. I promise you that I won't name names, but I've known some very famous fitness gurus, speakers, and so wrote big books and talked to thousands of people in big auditoriums and stuff. And every one of them, being human beings, have their own thing, their own their own triggers, their own problems, their own stuff, whatever it may be. It may have been food, could be alcohol, could be something else, whatever. I'm just saying we all have it. So those are important factors to keep in mind. I'll link this article below. You might want to read the big picture of permanent weight loss. Like I say, it's 99 cents. And it's not groundbreaking. It's not earth-shattering stuff. It's very, just as this video is going to be, it's very common sense advice. But I can tell you that taken in total, it absolutely will make a difference. Let's see, do we need this guy anymore, or can I get rid of this article? All right, so I'm gonna jump out of this article. I don't think we need this guy anymore. Okay, so that's a big one. Don't ignore it. Look into that a bit more and see if that speaks to you in terms of your own psychological approaches or understanding. But if you're looking again to lose weight and keep the weight off, this is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about weight loss in this discussion. We are talking about permanent weight loss, lifelong, done deal, not looking back. And again, as time goes on, as anybody who may be watching this can tell you, that for those who have lost it and kept it off, it does get easier as time goes on. And I think that's both a mental and physical, changes that go on. There's a wiring, a rewiring, and a rewiring of our brains and our bodies and our psyche that. I mean, there's discussions you can go about something called set point theory and stuff, which is very interesting, that people have a set point. The body wants to, both the brain and the body has a set point that wants to keep the weight, that, if you can get it off and keep it off, you can develop a new set point and so forth. And that's fairly somewhat controversial in terms of data, but I think the real world, whether it's what parts of it are biological realities, which parts are not, is still a reality for people that live it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. All right. Another thing I tell people, a pragmatic way to approach this and see this is the side effect. If you're focusing on health, if your focus is on health, improving your health, the side effect of that is usually weight loss. So when you're changing your nutrition with the idea, the purpose of improving your health, and you're doing exercise to improve your health, and you're working on mindfulness or yoga or whatever to bring your psychological aspect into line, working with a therapist, whatever that may be, the side effect of that is usually health. However, if you are focused strictly on weight loss, the side effect of that is not health. Not always. It can be. Sometimes it is not. That is, when you are just focused on weight loss and that's all you care about, the side effect of that is it can often be not making you any healthier. Okay, so it may be that you went on, again, some very unhealthy crash weight loss diet. It may be, the massive psychological stress. There may be, whether it's depression involved, whether you were over-exercising, whether you're sitting in a sauna, with a rubber suit on. Don't do that, and so forth. Focus on health. Okay, the focus on improving your health, and you can do that. Which we'll get to in a minute. There are objective metrics that you can look at, because sometimes you'll say, well, what does that mean? Because weight loss does not automatically make you healthier. It can definitely help you metabolically. I mean, generally speaking, weight loss is a benefit. But again, if you make your goal focus on getting healthier, like I say, the side effect of that will usually be weight loss, because your nutrition gets better, your exercise habits get better, your mental health gets better, and so forth and so forth. And so you don't overeat. You're less triggered to go eat foods you probably don't want to be eating, and so on and so forth. Next, another simple, straightforward, common sense thing you have to always answer is, why am I doing this? You have to have a core reason, driver inside of you as to why you are doing this. Okay, if it's something just surfacey, like I want to look good for the beach, that's not going to do you any good. That's not a long-term core goal. Okay, I want to look good for the holiday seasons. That's not going to work. You may lose a little weight for holiday season and put it back on. You need, again, a core value that you can work with that's in there. I'm doing this because I want to see my kids go to college and see my grandkids. I'm doing this because I want to get healthier. I want to feel better. I am tired of feeling like crap, or about myself, or I'm tired of being a diabetic or whatever it is, and I want to change it for the better. You need to ask that question and answer it, and you need to have a core value, a strong core reason that will be there for you during the hard times when you are having a really bad day, or you want to reach for the bag of chips or whatever that somebody left at the door or something like that. That will help see you through the difficult times and keep you on track when you start to mentally waver. But you should be able to ask yourself that question and answer it in a way that impacts you on a bigger scale, on a long-term scale, not on a short term. If you're just doing it to look good for wedding photos or something, you are already behind the eight ball and you are going to fail. So, and let's go back to, as I mentioned, progress, right? I think this is a really big one. So this is a logical extension of what we just talked about before, about health, or the side effect of health being, or the side effect of focusing on your health as being weight loss and so forth, which is, what is progress? How do you measure progress? Well, progress is not always weight loss, okay? I understand that for many people, weight loss is the key reason they're doing all this, but really, are you doing it just to lose weight, or again, back to the core value, are you doing it because you want to be healthier, you want to be more mobile, you want to feel better, you want to look better? I'm kind of avoiding the look part. Well, I totally understand why people would want to lose weight to just look better, because everybody wants to look better and feel better and all that. But again, I think that's a very subjective thing. But the point being is that, what is progress? Progress can be, if you're focusing on your health, because that's why you should be doing this. Progress can be, maybe it may be weight loss, but progress could also be that your blood glucose has improved. It may be your A1C has improved. It may be that your blood pressure has gone down. There are various metrics, objective metrics, that you can use to know that you've made progress, right? The some of those are not that easy to test. I mean, A1C is something you got to get blood work for. Glucose, you can do a glucose monitor if that's something you want. BP, you can check at home, and so forth. There's some complications here, but my point being is that you need multiple metrics, objective metrics that you can depend on to feel like you're making progress, and to know that you're making progress in various places. And whether, as time goes on, the weight loss has slowed down, it's not maybe what you wanted this month or whatever, but your fasted glucose got better, your blood pressure came down, your resting heart rate is improved, whatever, there are a number of metrics that you need to apply that can really make a difference on being able to give yourself some feedback of those important reasons that you are taking this journey in the first place. Because I think that for some people, let's say they don't care about how they look, they feel good, let's say they're overweight, whatever. I mean, again, this brings us back to that debate about, fit and fat, and people that can claim that, or want to claim that they can be, quite overweight with body fat. And we'll get to that in a second, too. That will be a next part when we talk about body composition. Who will say, well, I can be perfectly healthy doing that. Now, that's not very common. Now, if you are one of those people who has great labs across the board, you feel good, and you don't really care, it doesn't bother you, then hey, go, I'm not going to say you got to change the way your life, but I don't think that's who's watching this video. I think these are all people that know that carrying a lot of excess body fat is strongly and overwhelmingly associated with negative outcomes. Okay, I think most people know that. But, there are a few very small percent of outliers out there that probably can pull that off. So my point being, there are metrics. Measuring progress is not just always getting on the scale and checking your weight. There are other metrics, because you're doing this for your health, and you should be looking at those other metrics and tracking a long list of metrics that are objective, which is nice, because sometimes the mirror, or your whatever, how you feel that you look that day, it alters. Everybody has different days. So next, let's go on to another thing. Sometimes, again, the black and white thinking is also part of perfectionism, which causes people to, if they can't do everything perfectly, if they don't feel like they're doing it perfectly, they just give up. They get frustrated and they give up. And the reality is that perfection is often the enemy of good enough. Sometimes good enough is good enough. And if you're doing what you know you're supposed to be doing, you're doing the best you can. You have whatever. Let's say you, I don't know, fall off the wagon and have a bad day. Eat something probably didn't need to eat, or miss the gym, or whatever it is. And again, you have to not perfect, roll into the perfect, go down the hill of the perfectionism, get yourself into a bad mental state, and sometimes you just have to understand that sometimes good enough is good enough. I didn't make it to the gym, so I'll go take a walk around the block. I ate more than I wanted to. So just understand again, to go back into the mental state. Don't allow yourself to go down that perfectionism. Exercise. Okay, next issue. Again, when I do seminars, very common, or emails, or through my website, whatever. But a very common question, of course, is what is the best form of exercise for weight loss? The best form of exercise for weight loss is whatever it is the exercise you'll do. And by default, I could write up a program where, the quote-unquote perfect program with high-intensity interval training these days and weight training those other days, and, some sort of, moderate aerobic the other day, and yada, yada, yada. If you hate it and you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. That's the bottom line. I think we're not talking about some athlete who's trying to improve their muscle mass by 1%, or an extra rep on the bench, or shave a fifth of a second off of the 100 yards. So we're talking about regular people watching this, normal people who may not, just getting exercise, regular exercise, is a challenge. And my point is, find something that you like to do, or at least don't hate to do, and do that. By default, whether that's riding your bike, whether that's taking a long walk, whether that's lifting weights, martial arts, whatever, just do that. And that will be, by default, better than nothing. Now, I'll put the article below. And I don't like to say this because I don't really want to discourage people from doing exercise, because we have to exercise anyway. Again, remember, we're talking about health. Remember, we were talking about the focus on health and well-being and mobility and all that versus weight loss. But unfortunately, exercise is not nearly as effective for weight loss as we thought. And I'll leave an article below on that one. It is not as effective as we'd hoped, and it doesn't matter, because you still got to do it. And yes, it will still help, but it's not. Nutrition and calories in, calories out is still going to be the most important factor and variable to that weight loss, that long-term permanent weight loss. But having said that, remember, we're talking about health, talking about well-being, talking about mobility, so you still got to do it anyway. So I'm going to slight change. I'm going to put a video below it. People may have questions about, well, what about the drugs? Some of the drugs that have become very, very popular that are out there. I have a video on that, which I give out my whole position on those drugs. I'll give you a quick summary, which is to say, I think for some people, under the right circumstances, they are beneficial. I'm not against them. Like everything, though, they have to be part of a total program, including everything we talked about. And for the right person, in the right circumstance, they are a benefit. I am not anti-pharmaceutical help if they help. I am definitely against them if you're going to use them, which most people are, unfortunately, as, again, the magic bullet to lose a bunch of weight without any real changes to anything else they're doing. And when they have to stop those drugs because they get pretty expensive and put the weight back on, or they will stay on them forever. So those are your two choices basically. And the rest of that is all covered in the video below. Supplements. Let's talk about supplements. Supplements by their very name are supplemental to nutrition. So basically there are no magic bullet supplements for weight loss. There's lots of supplements in terms, again, of potentially improving your health, supporting your health, and so forth, of which I have lots of videos and articles on my site. Finally, on the pragmatic weight loss thing, finally, the last thing I'm going to cover, because I'm already 35 minutes into this video, is hormones. Again, the reality is, people that say, "Oh, I do everything right, and the reason I don't lose weight is my thyroid." That's 99% of the time not true. It's usually an excuse. However, hormones, if you are hypothyroid, if you are low, if your testosterone is not optimal, there's a number of hormones and such that if they are not optimized, you are making your life hard. I think that everybody, especially if you're over 40, but everybody should get a full hormonal panel done. If everything comes back normal, great. I think after 40, I recommend everybody get them done once a year, because 40 is kind of that's the age where the vast majority of people, their hormones tend to kind of fall off. Not everybody. Sometimes people, it's younger, some it's older, but on average, that seems to be the dividing line age-wise. And I think that yearly you should have a full hormone profile done. I will say that also most of the profiles most doctors are going to do are wholly inadequate. They don't usually see any real reasons to do it unless you're dying or feeling terrible. By the time you get to them and they're willing to do it, you're usually sort of already done a lot of damage to yourself. So my point is, don't make your life harder. Get a full hormone profile done on your thyroid, which is not just TSH. That's T3, T4, free T3 at a minimum. And I do have articles and a whole video on that. Get your testosterone checked, get your estradiol. Men and women, when I say testosterone, I mean men and women. Men and women both benefit from it, and really does help. I think finally, one thing I should have covered and I didn't cover, so I'm jumping around a little bit, and I thought I had, but I didn't. And I should have covered it probably back with the exercise. But to just finish off, when I say weight loss, even the term weight loss, I don't really like it. The term that should be used is fat loss. So when we talk about weight loss versus fat loss, we have to talk about body composition. Body composition is the most important part of this entire conversation, because when you're talking about fat loss, you obviously are talking about maintaining lean muscle mass, bone mass, connective tissue, so on and so forth. So I think that people that have a lot of weight to lose or a lot of fat to lose, it's not that important in the beginning. If you've got 100 pounds to lose or something, most of that, a good percentage of that, will be body fat. I think it becomes more important to start being concerned with body composition as you lose some of that weight. But there's no reason not to understand the importance of body composition, which is unfortunately, again, not paid a lot of attention to in most of the medical community. Again, BMI, for example, which is used, obviously doesn't account for body composition. It just accounts for height, weight type thing. And again, I'm not an anti-BMI person. It has its uses in large population studies. It's just not very useful for individuals. That's a different discussion. So my point being that if you get on this journey, understand that what you're trying to do is lose body fat, not just lose weight per se. That's something you want to look into. How do you test body fat versus just body weight? Obviously, body weight's getting on the scale. Body fat is checking. Might be using skin calipers, fat calipers, which actually are still fairly accurate. I'm not a big fan of the scales, because they're just testing water, and they can be very inaccurate. So a different discussion, but. I should have mentioned that early on, that body composition is a big topic. Okay, so I hope that is real world, pragmatic, straightforward ammo that you can apply to your journey as that person who is trying to make progress in their ongoing interest in permanent weight loss versus up and down yo-yo stuff, which is really all about selling you diets and selling you programs over and over and over again. Now, remember, they're not trying to help you with your permanent weight loss. And you might want to check out the Big Picture of Permanent Weight Loss. Like I say, it's 99 cents. It does offer some additional thoughts and just very straightforward, pragmatic, real-world stuff. So, hope that helps. I'll see you all in the Brink Zone.